So I've just been commissioned to do a painting. Super fun. So now it's time to actually start working. I actually have already done the sketch on my iPad. Now it's time to bring out the big bad projector, which is actually really tiny, to transfer the sketch. So yeah, let's get to it. So as you can see, I transferred the sketch, and once I had the sketch on, I decided to tape up the edges of the canvas, and I added a bit of white paint just to make the process a little bit easier and to avoid any paint going underneath the actual tape. Then I went ahead and just knocked out all the solid areas first. I think whenever a painting just kind of feels intimidating, that's one of the easiest things that you can do. So I started off with the background, which I chose to do a deep blue. Once I had the background done, I moved on to my next solid shape, which was the shirt, and again I mixed out a very dark blue, this time adding a lot more black. Now with the shirt done, I moved on to the wings, which definitely took a lot of time and I didn't record much of, but it was a lot of layering this sort of blue-gray color, going from dark to lighter and lighter, until eventually I got the look that I wanted. Now I did have some leftover paint, so I saved that for the next day when I would work on finishing the wings as well as starting to work on the jeans. And like always, it's just taking my time and being really patient when it comes to blending acrylic paint. Now, when I had all of that done, I finally moved on to painting the skin, which definitely felt the most daunting out of everything, but it ended up working out pretty well. I also painted tattoos, which is something I've never tried before, so that was a nice challenge, but I think overall it looked pretty accurate to what I was going for. Now, once I was sure that I wasn't going to touch the wings or anything from the background anymore, I decided to peel off the tape, and luckily not much of the paint bled through. There were a few areas, but I just cleaned that up with a bit of white paint. Now, at this stage, the painting was essentially done, but I decided to check in with the person commissioning me, and they had asked me to include this little logo on the shirt, which I did. Now, the logo had some tiny lettering, which was a little bit of a challenge, so I decided to bring out this magnifying lens slash lamp to really help me see the little graphite lines that I had made with pencil a little bit more clearly. And it was very much just going slow and taking my time, making sure I didn't rush myself. So I did this little yellow outline, and then inside the bigger letters I filled it with some blue paint. And here we have the finished logo, and again, the finished painting. So, future Andrea, yeah, I had a lot of fun working on that commission, and there was like some technical challenges that I wasn't really expecting. I wouldn't say challenges, but more so that, you know, so far everyone that I've painted has this sort of like yellow undertone. So while I mix out colors, I'm very used to adding a lot of yellow. And in this case, I had to lean a little more into red, So it was just like mixing out colors and then saying, okay, this isn't the right color, it needs more red. And just like constantly reminding myself to use more red than I would typically use. So it was challenging in that sense, but it was just a really like interesting change of pace from my other portraits, and also just having the privilege of painting someone's loved one and sort of bringing them to life in that way. I think that's always such a like intense privilege, because like that's somebody's loved one that they cared about, and now I get to like make them into a painting and hopefully make it very accurate. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I could share the process with you guys. I think obviously this was more of a vlog situation versus the tutorials that I kind of usually do. And I also did not film much of it because I wasn't sure how the person commissioning me would feel about me sharing stuff online. Luckily, they're fine with it. But yeah, just like for privacy respect, you know, I didn't film much, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And also colors, I did my best to work in that limited color palette, so it's very much just blue and orange. Like, if you obviously there's a lot of different shades going on, but yeah, very orange leaning brown because of like the skin, and that was all sort of like orangey. And then the clothes, the background, the wings, they were all very blue, so that, you know, takes a little bit of that sort of fear away of like, oh, what if these colors don't work well together? Because blue and orange, complementary colors, complementary colors. So it takes some of that pressure off, and just like working with what you know works. I think that's always like my number one fear with like color, is just like what works well together and what doesn't. So that's how I solved that, and just still finding ways to make it different shades of blue, so it didn't feel like, you know, like it worked well together, but it wasn't one same thing. Like, we have a very deep blue background, and then the wings, they're blue but they're also kind of grayish, and the pants are also kind of that grayish blue, but they still have a lot more shadow going on, a bit more detail. So yeah, it was a really fun process. Highly loved every bit of it, and I'm also happy that the person who commissioned me liked it. I think that's always like one of the main things I'm always nervous about. But yeah, very fun experience. Glad to share that with you guys, and I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye!